Minister Shaler, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, indeed.
Can you tell us a little bit more about President Boluarte's address here at the United Nations and some of the priorities that she was trying to accomplish during the General Assembly?
Yeah, well, I think I will say something that somebody will say, well, okay, everybody talks about it, but the way she did, Madam President, I think was outstanding and perhaps even unique. She talked about justice and peace because this is the place we have to talk about these two very important international moral values. But she did it in a way that combined, without saying anything but making it very clear to everybody who heard her, uh, situations that happen all over the world now, many conflicts, many, let's say, absences of peace and justice in many, unfortunately, in many places of the world, and what happens also in our country, in Peru, and how this reflects one another. It's like mirroring things that happen nationally, not only in Peru, also in Peru, of course, but not only there, and things that happen widely, universally, internationally. That's one message, very strong message that she tried to convey, and I think she did that successfully. The other thing that she did is she supported the United Nations Secretary General plan, the so-called UN 80, because she said something very important. Now that we are in such a, let's say, demanding and challenging times, we don't need less UN. We need more UN. We need a better UN. So these are the main thrusts of the message that Madam President in her last address as a Peruvian president brought her here to New York. Huh?
Climate, biodiversity, very important to your country. I'd love to get your thoughts on Brazil hosting COP30 this year at the foot of the Amazon rainforest.
Yes, we are very proud of it. It is very important. President Boluarte had also an intervention in a so-called climate summit that took place yesterday. And there she said some things that are very important for Peru, and I think for the world. Number one, more than 50%, as a matter of fact, 58% of our territory is Amazonian territory. So from these more or less 1.2 million square kilometers that we have as a territory, more than 600,000 kilometers is Amazonian rainforest, Amazonian jungle. That's one thing, and that's why it's so important for us. Everything that belongs or has to do with climate. One thing, for example, which is little known, is the Amazon exists, and this is quite obvious what I will say now, because of water. And water comes in a very, very strong proportion from the Andes. Andes are the Peruvian highlands. You don't have mountains, you don't have Andes, or you have the biodiversity in the Andes disrupted, you will not have the Amazonian jungle, most probably. So we are very worried that more than 58% of the so-called tropical glaciers, which we have in our mountains, have disappeared. And they are in the process of disappearing. Peru has almost 40% of these tropical glaciers. So when there will be no water in the highlands of Peru, in the Andes, then I think the Amazon basin, the Amazon forest, will be in trouble also. So it is so important for us because we are one of the 3 or 4 most vulnerable countries in the world to climate change. We have to adapt, we have to mitigate, and we have to counteract as much as possible this climate change that we are now living. So this is very important, and the taking place of the COP30 in Belém do Pará will put on the table, I will use a word that now young people use very much, in Spanish at least, it will make more visible the importance of climate change, and the Amazon jungle, the Amazon forest, for the whole of humanity.
If you can, please update us on Peru's international agenda when it comes to trade and investment and cooperation.
Well, you know, we have very strong ties with everybody. We have more than 21 FTAs, free trade agreements, 95 or if not 96% of our bilateral trade with many countries is done under these FTAs, free trade agreements, which are agreements that allow a free flow, an unhindered, almost unhindered flow of goods and services. And this is very good. I mean, we are an open society politically, of course. We are a democracy. Also, we are open economically, and we do business with countries with whom we see that there is a mutual, sustainable profit. We don't want to have like a one-shot deal or a one-day of a business opportunity. This might be interesting for some actors, but not necessarily for Peru. We have to have a sustained relationship based on trust, based on amity, and based on mutual profit. This is very important for us. No? What we want is to foster the welfare of both of peoples, because if two countries are trading and a country, one of them, sees or feels that they're losing something or they're not very happy with it, let me assure you, this relationship will last very, very, very little time. And this is exactly what we don't want. We want to have something stable, strong, and flourishing. And this, we do it with everybody. We build bridges. We don't take sides. We build bridges, and bridges based on common profit, common understanding. This is very important.
It's been almost 1 year now. We're closing in on a year since Peru hosted the APEC summit, where dozens of world leaders and business leader CEOs were there in your country. Can you tell us about some of the progress made since then, which goes into what you're saying about building strong relationships with these different countries, especially in that Asia Pacific, that Pacific region?
Right, exactly. Well, it is for us, it is a very important region. It's something we have devoted the last, I don't know, 20, 25 years at least, a whole of attention and very strong interest. And what we have achieved there is something that I think we feel proud of it. One, we reinstated or helped to reinstate consensus as a decision rule in APEC, something that had not been really there. The two APECs before, the two editions before the one which took place in Lima, and two, we got a closer connection between APEC, which can be very complex and specialized and hard to comprehend, to grasp, to the ordinary citizen. We made a lot of events, more than, I think, 600 events, with the attendance of more than 60,000 people. ordinary people, young people, old people, people who were interested in cultures from other countries, basically, of course, of the remaining, the 20 economies, right? And we made them feel uh, 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 the food, made them taste the food, and have, hear their languages. And this was a very good thing because now, for Peru, and also, I think in APEC countries was a little bit the same also. Now APEC is like more a common word in the ordinary people's lives and thoughts. That's on what we achieved in the last APEC 2024, and we are looking forward in helping, as of course it is our very honor and duty to do so, Korea, in preparing for the summit, the Leaders Summit, which will take in next November in Seoul. No?
Staying on APEC, China and the United States, both APEC members. Peru is a country that has free trade agreements with both the two
Yes.
largest
Yes.
economies in the world.
Yes.
How do you balance these relationships, especially when it comes to trade?
Well, you know, what we are very lucky to have these two very big trading partners and friends, and we're also very lucky that they are very respectful, one of the rules we set up together, and two, to hear what we have to say. This is the case now with the United States. It is well known, they put like an extra tariff to everybody in the world, including Peru, now 10%, but it is not being applied still because they accepted to talk to us and to hear what we have to say. We are a very small economy in comparison with the economy of the United States, and a very weak one in comparison of the United States. Although our food tastes very good, and they know that. But in comparison, when you see the aggregates, we are no peril, we are no danger to anybody, including the United States. We've had a quite balanced trade balance, and if any, it has been a disbalance against Peru. It was a positive superavit for the United States. So we are talking with them. With China, it's a different story. China, which is of course a very good friend of Peru and Peru of China, they have understood that what we need now, we have a very strong FTA. It's our first trading partner with over $30 billion a year, which is a very important figure, at least for Peruvian standards. They have understood that now we have to transform this economic bilateral commercial relationship in a more elaborate relationship, not anymore like raw materials only, which are very important, and they will continue to be important, and they will be continue to be extracted and to be sold. But we are now talking, and we want in Peru to transform this material in something a little bit more elaborate. If not the final consumption good, okay, intermediate goods, so that we can serve the supply of certain goods that stem from minerals, no, to the industries worldwide.
Which brings me to the Chancay port and how
Okay.
that's going so far.
Well, it's very good. They are already in operations. They've met their goals, their set goals for the first phase. This phase will be somehow be concluding by the end of the year, but as what I've heard, from what I heard, they are very well on their way to meet their the targets they set themselves up for this year. There are three phases, being the last phase of investment coming up in 2030 originally. I think they are now thinking or shorten that particular period because they're doing quite well to 2027. So far, they've invested $1.3 billion in the first phase. It is projected that when everything is finished, when everything is built in the port, they will have invested $3.4 billion. Both, both partners. No? There is a Peruvian partner, private partner, and there is Costco, which is a Chinese owned and Chinese-based private company. So I think it's going very well. And they're getting also competition, and this is very good. Competition is always very good, of other ports in Peru. There's one port which is quite interesting and important, called the port of Eten, also in the northern part of Peru, which has been shortly, I think it was I think last week that Madam President went there to inaugurate the revamping, the overhauling of this port, which is very, very good. And then you have ports in the southern part of Peru, like Matarani, and even one which is still in project, still being, I think the technical dossier is already finished, which is Corillo in the southern part of Peru. So what I'm trying to say that we want to make a lot of efforts to build and show ourselves as a hub for South America, naval hub for South America in its relationship to Asia. Of course to China, but also to the northern part of Asia and also the Southeast Asia, including Indonesia, including Singapore, including ASEAN, no? Which is also a very important organization also of which Peru is now a development partner.
Latin America has long struggled with transnational crime and organized gangs. Is that somehow linked to migration? And what is Peru doing to fight violence and illegal activities?
Well, you see, we have to differentiate migration from illegal activities, transnational crime, because yes, when you have a group of people migrating to your country, you get good and bad apples. But I have to stress that the good apples, people who come to, in this case, Peru, they want to work, they want to make a living, they want to have a family, they want to peace and opportunities. They are there for some reason, personal reason, which has to do with many times the absence of opportunities in their countries of origin. So we have to respect them, we have to support them, and we have to work and welcome them. We have to work with them and welcome them. But also you have international criminal activity also being somehow spread by these migrating currents. No? And what we are doing now, we are also getting in contact and coordinating with our neighbors in order to fight together illegal crime, illegal activities, criminal organizations, because they have internationalized themselves too. So we have, for example, at the regional level, at the Andean community, we are coordinating with their members, the other members, which are Colombia, Ecuador, and Bolivia, stringent measures to control illegal activities and illegal transnational activities, which is a very big problem right now. And these illegal criminal activities, they also do things that are very bad. Not only, I mean, crime is bad in itself, but also they make a lot of things that attack or weaken, for example, The environment. We have in Peru illicit mining activities or illicit logging activities, which of course they are criminal offenses, but also they really don't help. Let me put it this diplomatically, don't help the environment, and they don't help the communities living on the side of the river, where they are poisoning the river with, for example, mercury, which is a metal that is used to the extraction and amalgamation of gold. So we are really doing a teamwork with Ecuador, with Colombia, with Bolivia in the Andean region to combat international organized crime. And we are also doing the same thing with Brazil. We have more or less 7,000 kilometers of borders, no? Of which, if you count the three northern borders and the eastern border, which are Ecuador, Colombia, and Brazil, more or less 4,000 kilometers are pure Amazon forest. So it is very difficult to control that. Nobody lives there. Only local communities, very sparsely distributed. So we have to work very strongly, these four countries together. And the Brazilian government had a very good initiative. They just inaugurated, I think a week ago, or a week and a half ago, they inaugurated a police center, a Amazonian police center in Manaus, so that our police forces can join as a team their forces to work against criminal activities.
Foreign Minister Schuyler, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. And we'll see you, I hope, the next time in Lima, Peru.